I was 7 years old when I was listening to 90s rap music for like 4 or 5 hours a day, every day. I was in love with music. I started playing in the music studio, subhanAllah. I'm in the mirror and I just looked at my face. I'm like, bro, your whole demeanor just changed. And I saw that moment, what music did to me. I put it out on Facebook because I had a little following. I said, listen, I want to go study Arabic so I can get da'wah. If anyone wants to contribute towards my thing, please. I don't know who those people were. I can may Allah reward them. I got £2,500 like that, bro. I started asking myself questions when I come to an ayah. And I was like, whoa, this is tadabbur. I will now sit on an ayah for half an hour. Something I could never do. When I'm doing tadabbur of the Qur'an, these are the questions I ask. Number one, how would I live my life differently if this was the last ayah I ever read? That will make you look at the ayah differently every single time. Number two.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back everyone to another podcast from our Arabic season. Today we've got a special guest. Some of you may know him already, our brother Imran, formerly known as Da'wah Man. Today's going to be a very special conversation. I'm not sure if our brothers even shared this before. We're going to look at his life before he started practicing and looking at how Arabic actually is a central part of his journey and all the struggles that he's faced with learning the Arabic language. And make sure you stick around to the end because this story may just spark a type of inspiration that could forever change your life. So welcome, brother.
Appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, bro.
Yeah, Jazakallah for taking out the time. I appreciate it. Yeah, just quickly, like before you even started practicing, who was Imran?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah ma ba'd. So, before I started practicing, I was, unfortunately, I got exposed to music at a very young age. So I was 7 years old when I was listening to like 90s rap music for like 4 or 5 hours a day, every day. And obviously my parents, my dad, he understood English, but my mom didn't. So I used to have the Sony Walkman in my ear and she would have no idea the filth and the nonsense and the craziness that I'm just listening to. But I was in love with music. I just loved, the language, the wordplay, communicating the message. And obviously in that, it pollutes your mind as well. But now when people think of rap music and they think of hip hop, all of it's haram and all of it is filthy, but it's filthier today.
Right.
Now there's just more talk about drugs and women and zina and murder. Back in those days, maybe there was some of that kalam, but you would find that hip hop artists would want to communicate a message. It was like something they were trying to communicate to the audience, something that they believed in. Like even now, people will bring clips, things that Tupac was saying, not in his music, like in an interview, and be like, wow, the guy was really ahead of his time as a 23, 24-year-old guy at the time. In the early 1990s, he's saying things that really are relevant today. So these were like pretty intellectual people to some extent. So I used to love that part of it, which was communicating a message. So I remember there was, and I won't mention which particular artist it was because I don't want anyone to go and look it up, but there was a particular artist who had a song about making change. And in the track, there's a part where he goes, I don't say I'll change the world, but I believe that I'll plant the seed that will change the world. And I used to think, yeah, that's going to be me. I'm going to be that one who helps change the world. So cut a long story short, may Allah forgive me, I kind of really doubled down into the whole music side of thing. And, had a studio, did some mixtapes, some stuff which was not great. Ended up leaving that when I started praying my salah. When I started praying my salah, I never intended to leave music. I never actually intended to stop talking free mixing. I never intended that. I just start praying. Some things were happening in my life. I've told the story in other places just to not wrong it out. People can check it out. And I just started praying. And I started praying in the music studio, subhanAllah. And what happened was 6 months passed and I was like, I haven't listened to music in a minute. What's going on? So I thought, let me treat myself. So I put a track on. And next thing you know, I was like, I'm going to listen for 5 minutes. I'm just going to listen to, a little this or that. Next thing you know, half an hour I'm in the mirror and I just looked at my face. I'm like, bro, your whole demeanor just changed. And I saw that moment what music did to me. Because you habituate. You don't realize your character, your facial expressions, your body language, even the things that I'm thinking. And I had gone through a state of purification in those 6 months. Now I looked in the mirror and I'm like, bro, you look kind of nasty, kind of evil. And then it was at that point really I realized, okay, I need to like leave this. But even then, I never made the conviction that I'm done with it. It just happened like 6 months in. And then I remember even at that time, I hadn't spoken to a female. And I must have been with the brother that I started practicing with in uni. And, you know, I just mentioned a particular female that had messaged me on Facebook. And he goes to me, bro, you know that's haram, innit? Like, don't do that. And I was like, well, I didn't deep it. You're right. And it was just so easy for me to lock it off with Allah's permission and tawfiq. I realized years later when I came across the ayah, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. The salah, it prohibits you from doing evil things and filthy acts. So just by starting to pray my salah, automatically my heart didn't want that stuff. So, you know, that's a bit about who I was. The final point I mentioned is that I actually realized that I actually didn't love the music when I started giving da'wah and seeking knowledge. I realized it wasn't even the music. What I loved was the message. Because, and obviously, you know, may Allah reward you because you obviously done a massive 180. You actually, like, very deep into the music scene, very, very well recognized, and you obviously sacrificed quite a lot to leave it. But you probably went through that stage where either you thought about or it was expected of you to like make spoken word poetry.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So even people would say to me, bro, I don't get it. I don't just write spoken word poetry. And I actually tried. But I was like, wait, I got no passion for this. I would just write rhymes for fun every day. I used to have a little folder, but just rhymes for days. And I thought I loved it. But now I'm trying to write this, but I got no passion for it. And I realized because I've got a lecture I'm about to give. And the shabab, the youth are going to be listening to me. And I'm communicating the same point. I don't, the rhyme wasn't the thing that I was committed to, it was the message. The reason I say that is because someone might be struggling with a particular fitna. I was talking to a brother, he's my MMA coach. I done a podcast with him yesterday. He's actually a pro fighter, and he's trying to, you know, it's a fitna for him. He knows he's very heavily inclined towards accepting it's haram, right? The hadith is clear, but some people throw shubahat these days, But you know, he's and I said to him, that thing that you love, because he's like, do you know that feeling when I step in the cage and it's just me and this guy, we both trained for 8 weeks to kill each other, because that. I can't get it anywhere else. And I was like, listen, you have no idea, bro. Allah could have something else that you can experience that same thing from that's better than this thing that you're trying to get that rush from. So, with Allah's permission is tawfiq. That's kind of what happened.
So, obviously, when you're in the UK, there's a stage where you weren't praying, right? What was your relationship with the Qur'an? Did you ever go Qur'an class as a kid? Like, what was your relationship with your religion in general?
Well, I went to Qur'an class. As a kid, absolutely, but wallahi, it was strange. Now that I look back, you know, Allah ruled my mother and my cousin. I had a cousin, an older female cousin when I was a kid. It was really them that taught me Qur'an. Now, when I think about it, I used to go to the madrasa, and then the imam, who would have like 7-8 kids around him. Now I know that he. You know, as a grown-up, you're like, you know, when you're young, you think, has he got superpowers? He can hate everyone. But now you know, bro, he was not listening to like anyone. Like, 7 guys that were all reading 7 different things. Maybe he picked out a word here or there, but it wasn't that. And plus, I kind of struggled to even learn to recite the Qur'an, as we could talk about later, because I realized years later, I actually have dyslexia. So what I didn't realize I was doing, I was just memorizing the surahs. So I was memorizing. So for example, the qaida, I would memorize it. So I literally could look and know that's a alif, that's a ba, that's a I knew how the 3-letter words, the 4-letter words, I would just memorize them. And of course you pick up, that's a scene, that's a shit. You learn, but if you told me to just read from the Mus'haf, no. Until my mum and my cousin, may Allah reward them both, I mean, they actually sat down and broke it down to me. But of course, we had no idea what we were reading.
Right.
So there was really no passion, there was no motivation.
Okay. What? How old were you at this stage?
6, 7?
SubhanAllah.
6, 7, yeah. I mean, I read the Qur'an. There was a moment when I was like 17, 18, and there was this Sudani brother. And, he was an enigma because he was a cruddy youth. He was always praying his prayers. He was always praying his prayers. He came from Sudan, Allah Barak. So those brothers, they always have that. You might get caught up in the wrong crowd, but they have that khair.
Foundation.
So one time, and he always had his headphones. I'm like, what are you listening to, bro? And he was like, Sudais. I thought, what's Sudais? And he's listening to Qur'an. And then when he did that, I don't know, part of me even felt ashamed. I was like, this brother, like, he's cruddier than me, but he's very listening to the Qur'an, like. You have that kind of fitrah. Yeah. So I put it on my MP3 player and I used to listen, I used to love it. I had no idea what was being recited though.
Yeah, subhanAllah. And at that time, did you learn like the Indo-Pak script? What was the script?
Yeah, it was the Indo-Pak script.
Okay,
it was the Indo-Pak script.
So were you reciting the alphabet kind of like in the Urdu way?
100%. 100%. It was only after I started practicing. A brother, he sat me down through a summer. We did like 8, 9 classes. He taught me tajweed. He taught me to read the Uthmani script and
subhanAllah. So you had those classes. Obviously, you could read at this stage. You could read independently, right?
I could read after I started practicing.
No, when your parents kind of sat you down.
Yeah. I could read independently. Absolutely, yeah.
And how long did that go on for?
So, I was how long it took me to get to the point of reading independently.
Yeah, and then what I'm trying to figure out is like, was there a stage in your life where you just kind of just drifted off reading the Mus'haf?
Oh, absolutely. I think what happens, generally speaking, at least in our culture, is that there's a thing of get to finish the Qur'an. And what they mean by that, when Somalis say finish the Qur'an, they mean memorize. And Pakistanis say finish the Qur'an, they mean just read it once. They mean just read it once. So it was all about, just finish the Qur'an. So even though I know the day I had finished the Qur'an, and I finished, I think at the age of 11, 12, like reading it end to end, we had a little party in the house, we bought some like local sweets and stuff like that and gave them around. And I can't remember if it was my dad or my cousin or someone was like, look, you need to carry on. But what happens is that the pressure kind of is off now because you know how to read. And now it's your expectation to go and open the Mus'haf and read. I remember from time to time, my dad would just be like, go pick up the Qur'an and read. We'd read in Ramadan. A lot of the times, if someone died, obviously there's difference of opinion whether the actions that we do, the righteous action we do for the dead reach them. There's a part of the scholars there. One thing that's very common in Pakistani culture is that if someone dies, they'll recite Qur'an on their behalf. So that was really the time I read Qur'an. Every year, 1 or 2 people are dying, go to the house, open the Mus'haf, and that's when I would read. But I wouldn't read for satisfaction, for joy, for sweetness. Unfortunately, as Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh said, that there's only space for the Qur'an or music in your heart. You pick.
Right. Yeah. So that time your heart was more inclined to music.
Unfortunately.
SubhanAllah. And when you used to read the Qur'an, what was, like as a child, because I reverted, so I wouldn't know as a child, when you're first introduced to these letters, what's going through your mind? Like what's your feeling when you're reading without understanding?
Well, actually, listening to it would always touch me. Listening to it. Reading it, not as much. Because I guess when you're listening to it, there's a beautiful qari, he's reciting, it's smooth. Yourself, there's a stutter, there's that, I myself don't also have a nice recitation. So it's not like I couldn't enjoy my own recitation. It wasn't really much. It was more about just, may Allah forgive me, I would count the pages to the end of the surah. Wait, how many more? 3 more left. 2 more left. Like, the one who starts to finish. That was me.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I was talking to one brother one time, and he said that he used to feel frustrated. He used to feel like, what's the point? He literally like, he'll be, because he used to rock and stuff, so he'll be rocking in the masjid and he'd be like, he used to, like, obviously, he was new to the deen. He was born into a Muslim family, but he was new to the deen. But he's like, I used to just feel like I'm just singing. So I would just copy the recitation of the Imam, but I never really felt anything. I'm just singing some melodies, right? Which I feel like is a very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, it's a very sad feeling. So obviously now your parents said, okay, you can read the Qur'an. And then this is what I've noticed in the West is this kind of, that is the curriculum. You go to the masjid, you learn how to read the Qur'an, and then from there you just left, like you've kind of like completed your, it's like you've graduated.
You graduated.
Yeah.
It's
Which is a flaw in our Islamic curriculum in the West, is because the Qur'an was sent down obviously to ponder. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ, to ponder of the Qur'an, right? And it's said that in our society, they've kind of just said, okay, you go to the masjid, you learn how to pray, you learn how to read the Qur'an and stop there. So what pushed you to say, you know what, I need to learn Arabic. I need to actually understand what I'm reciting.
So the time I was in Salah, Taraweeh, I think maybe it was like it was a time I was in Salah in Taraweeh, and one of the Imam's recitation was emotional. I started to cry because it hit me, and I just wish I knew what he was saying. I wish I knew what he was saying. And I was in uni when I started practicing. There was a particular Ustad, I think his name is Fahad Sabri, if I'm not mistaken. Fahad Sabri, Ustad Fahad, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If I see him, I recognize him. And he spent some time studying in Medina. And he came and gave a khutbah, and it was a powerful khutbah. And he recited Surah Al-Zalzala, which is, about the Day of Judgment, the earthquake, and, and so on and so forth. The khutbah was about Surah Al-Zalzala. And then he recited it. So that hit me. And when that hit me, at the end, I just followed him. I said, Shaykh, teach me Arabic, please. And he said to me, listen, a lot of people like the idea of studying Arabic, but they don't like to study Arabic.
Yeah.
He said they like the idea, but liking it requires effort. Are you ready? I was like, yeah, I'm down. Now, he was from East London. I used to live in West. It didn't work out, but there was a Ustad Saeed, who was my first official, actually my second teacher, but first on the Sunnah teacher, graduate from Islamic University of Medina, phenomenal man. He used to teach in East London, Ealing Masjid. And he's now gone back to Somaliland. And he started doing these Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk and Medina book classes. And I started with him. And that was the first time I really kind of got into it. And he used to teach Kitab al-Tawheed. I attended some lessons, Kitab al-Kaba'ir, the book of major sins he did. And I think back, subhanAllah, that was like 15 years ago, man. SubhanAllah. But yeah, so it was really that moment. And then I started hearing, at that stage, when you just start practicing, you listen to a lot of lectures. So there's a particular speaker, whose name I won't mention because unfortunately, he seems to have been tested with a lot of doubts in recent years. May Allah guide us, Ameen. But he used to talk about the language in the Qur'an and the linguistic. I remember there was a particular clip he had where he was talking about palindromes, which is being able to recite, the word, or the sentence, sorry, if you read it backwards, it reads the same. So for example, race car.
Yeah.
If you read it backwards, it's race car. So this was like a form of balagha in English. So if you ask ChatGPT to do it, he'll be able to put something together for you. But this was like, can you create sentences that read the same backwards? And like dad, D-A-D backwards. So he was like, وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. So read it backwards. وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. And he was showing some palindromes in the Qur'an. Now, say what you want. I was like, whoa. Okay. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I'll go for the eloquence in the Qur'an, and I was like, I need to learn this. And it was just wanting to understand. It was the fact, and also because at that time I got involved in da'wah. Just remember, so me as a jahil, but I still wanted to communicate the message. Ignorantly, I got into da'wah sooner than I should have. So I would be just talking to Christians on the streets, And this was a major moment for me, actually. So these things were all happening at the same time. Listening to that, the khutbah and whatnot, and the salah. This was a major moment. I was on a train and a Jehovah's Witness guy jumped in with me. And it was the district line, which starts in Richmond and it ends in Stratford.
Yeah.
And I was going to Stratford.
Yeah.
This guy stayed on with me. Sorry, it wasn't the district, it was the Silverlink. It was called Silverlink at the time, and now they've changed it. But it's an overground that starts from Richmond and it also ends in Stratford. He sat on with me, and he's a Jehovah's Witness. He's doing his thing. Yeah, I was like, come, let's go. So the whole journey, like I ripped his Bible apart, metaphorically speaking. You know, Jesus said, when he said, master, he said, I'm not the master. The master is one. I'm going through it. I'm ripping it to shreds. Look, Deuteronomy 12:12. I still remember it today. Moses is predicting the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu. You know what he said to me at the end? He said, you know how I know my religion? He goes, I'm convinced now more that my religion is true. And I'm convinced that my book is true and yours is false now even more than ever.
Why?
He said, because even in trying to refute my book, you had to use my book. You didn't bring me nothing from your Qur'an. He goes, I sat here the whole time and I argued with you from my Bible. I didn't mention your book once. I don't need to go to your Qur'an. He said, if your book is the truth, why didn't you open your book for me? Wallahi, unfortunately, a lot of brothers in the da'wah, it would be an embarrassment for them to admit, and they will probably deny it. And it's a dirty shame that a lot of the du'at have. A dirty shame, a dirty secret. A lot of the du'at have, I had, especially those that give da'wah to the non-Muslims. A lot of them, not all of course, but a lot of them, they don't know their kitab, akhi. They know the book of the Christians. More. Uqsimu billahi, I knew ayat off the top of my head of the Bible more than you of the Qur'an. I could quote you Bible like this. I couldn't quote the Qur'an. I bet them. So all these things came together and I realized and the fact that the Qur'an is a miracle. And then I'm giving you scientific miracles in the Qur'an, but then there's the lughah.
Yeah.
There's the language. So all of this came together and that's how I started.
Okay, mashallah. So what did that look like at that time? Like, what did you do? Did you kind of reach out to a teacher? Who were you sitting with like that?
So as I mentioned, the teacher in Ealing Masjid, yeah. So I started with him. And look, my Arabic studies journey has been a bit rocky, extremely rocky. The first person I'm going to blame is myself, because definitely there was that lack of discipline. There was definitely that lack of discipline. But there's other issues that kind of made the discipline harder. And the reason I'm going to say this is because as me, I can hold accountability. I can't really, if I point a finger at someone else, it's three was pointing back at me. And I prefer to just take the L myself. But other people might not have that degree of accountability and they might not end up learning. So I mentioned the other reasons, not because I'm making an excuse for myself, but hopefully so people can become attentive to this and find solutions. But the first thing is that, look, the syllabuses weren't really ideal for people that are coming from the West in the 21st century. Like a lot of the syllabuses that were made for people that are gonna go and live in an Arabic environment. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was one thing that made it hard. Because I'm learning Al-Arabiya to be in a date. I've got no one to practice with. Do you know what I'm saying? I've got no one to really understand and practice with. Also, teachers, they start and they stop. Back in the days. Now, with obviously Al-Ijaada Institute and things like that, you guys, Allah, already have whole programs end to end where we can start and finish with you. But teachers will come, go. We had to pay for classes at that time. We might not have money. Yeah. And I remember Ustaz Saeed we'll be running classes and students weren't paying. And the worst thing is when you do a class live, on the first day, it's packed. 2-3 months later, and it's a year class.
It starts fizzling out.
It's gone. And the students turning up can't even cover the cost of the room anymore. But the Sheikh, may Allah reward him, we find different locations and teach us. But point being is that, alhamdulillah, I did Al-Arabiya I did Medina book 1, and it was nice. And I started to be like, okay, هذا كتاب, هذا قلم, okay, ألف لام المعرف, okay, this is nakira. You start to get a little flavor. But when it really started to come together for me is I went to America. And again, I won't mention the name of the person because of course he has some affiliations that are not great. But I spent an intensive doing Arabic grammar and sarf. And then at night they would teach you tafsir. We did Surah Al-Anbiya. And it's actually crazy. The program was about £2,500, and I didn't have the money. And I don't think I've mentioned this since it happened. But them times, akhi, I would never do this now because it's to nas. But them times I was so desperate to learn. I put it out on Facebook because I had a little following. I said, listen, I want to go study Arabic so I can get da'wah. If anyone wants to contribute towards my thing, please. I don't know who those people were. I can may Allah reward them. I've got £2,500 like that, bro. I don't know who they were. Only Allah knows if I'm sincere. Hopefully I'm the ajr that they have. They invested in the beginning of my Arabic. And that 1 month intensive, I can tell you right now that, look, because after that, I done al-ajrumiyah. And then, we just went qatrun nada, we just went the normal route. But because I'm going to find out in the future still, I'm dyslexic, which is why it's so hard for me to get these things. But that program was so nice, so well put together, that gave me the head start. So now I'm in class and I'm going through al-ajr, and the structure is very complicated for a guy. That's a beginner text, but it's very complicated. Because it's like, what's going on? But the way they broke it down, may Allah reward them, and these guys who funded me my trip, it just gave me the key. I remember from that point, it was just not hard for me because I spent a month just drilling these concepts in. So
Awesome.
that's what it was, yeah, alhamdulillah.
Obviously, you're saying you were dyslexic at the time. What struggles did you find with the Arabic language? What was like things that was stopping you from like comprehending things?
Dyslexia, usually, it's like you'll muddle up words. When you're reading, when you're writing, when you're speaking, that's one common thing, which is why people will notice that I try to work on this a lot, but I'll really muddle up my words, even when I speak. My writing, like I'll write a D instead of a B. Things that are very close, like mutashabihat in the Qur'an, things that are close. It's just on a different, it's just more amplified. And then also, because I wasn't great at maths, and I don't know if that had a connection with the dyslexia, but some people, like, I would really struggle. So, grammar is very like mathematical, very algebraic. It's principles and formulas and, these qawaid and so on and so forth. So it was all just very, very tough for me. Like, even right now, if you tell me to do i'rab of something, it's like, I would just make the dumbest mistake. I'll make the dumbest mistake, like I know that's a maf'ul bihi, for example, but you say it's maf'ul li ajli, and it's clear that it's not. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's just, you just make dumb mistakes, You'll read a word, you read it wrong. Even like, for example, if I recite Qur'an now, and because a lot of people get on to me, like, this guy, probably he's a da'i, he claims to have studied, and look, he's still making mistakes, which I believe is unacceptable to make mistakes when you recite the Qur'an, 100%. But I was being extra tough on myself, not realizing it's a thing for me. Now, with Allah's permission, His tawfiq, Allah will help me conquer it, in the sense where, again, dyslexic people struggle to read. Alhamdulillah, and I only mention this now to hopefully inspire someone who might be struggling. I read for 4 hours a day in English and Arabic. And I read stuff that's of what someone would consider some degree of sophistication and complexity. Like, I'm not just reading like little whatever here and there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I will open up the kitab, I'll read Ibn Qayyim, I'll read Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah still is, obviously, because he goes to different funun, different ulum, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with him, truth be told. But Ibn Qayyim, alhamdulillah, I'm really getting the hang of his works, and it's something that I truly enjoy. Point being is that reading these things is not easy. And if Allah Azza wa Jalla gave you the tawfiq to do it, then someone else can. I'm always hearing brothers say, I'm just not studious. That's batil. It's absolutely false. It's about the amount of effort that you put in. And I've come to accept that I'm gonna make mistakes. Like, I'll read and I'll muddle up something, or like I'll read from a kitab and I'll make a mistake, or like, that's just gonna be a part of my journey. Does that mean I'm not gonna work hard? I'm absolutely gonna work hard. I'm gonna do whatever I can to diminish that. But some people might have to sit there for hours and just say, I've got to get to the point where I make no mistakes. For me, that becomes diminishing returns, because fahm and understanding it is more important for me at this point in my life. I'm a 35-year-old man. I've got a lot of grey hairs. I've dyed my beard, which is why you can't see, but I'm a very old man. So now, because I started seeking knowledge late, and I started taking it seriously even later. So it's a thing of just, I've accepted that that's gonna be part of and parcel of where I'm at. But do I understand it? Oh, absolutely. Walillahi alhamd.
Yeah,
And that was really the main thing for
It's
me.
amazing. Okay, alhamdulillah. Was there ever a time when you read an ayah, a verse from the Qur'an, that just hit you differently just because you understood it in Arabic? Can you remember a specific?
I remember it was Ramadan, exactly 13 years ago. I was reading the ayat from Surah Al-An'am, when Allah Azza wa Jal says to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, قل تعالوا أتل ما حرم ربكم عليكم ألا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا. Say to them, O Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, let me recite on you that which your Lord has made impermissible for you, that Allah has made haram for you to do shirk with him, and he's made haram for you to do anything other than ihsan for your parents. I don't know, man, at that point I just felt like ihsan, and I'd learned that the word ihsan, what it means excellence, and for the parents that's to come with perfection. And because I understood the word and in the context of Ramadan, I just started crying. I went to my dad and I just apologized to him. Dad, he thought, what's this guy done? Because I didn't really have that type of emotional relationship where I'd go and just cry and kiss my dad's head and just say, Dad, I'm sorry. First he thought, you dying? You do something? You going to jail? What happened? But I remember that was the first time when I read something and I felt, and I got that.
SubhanAllah. How was that feeling? Like, how do you feel inside? Like, SubhanAllah. Like, obviously, as a child, you didn't understand.
I didn't understand.
Now you're reading ayat and it's hitting you. Like, what was going through your mind at that time?
You just want to do more. You just want to do more. But Shad, isn't crazy though. I actually feel like I cheated myself since then, even till now. And I've had a real realization recently that has taken my relationship to the Qur'an to a different level. And I'm just at the beginning of it. And that's with this thing called tadabbur. Pondering. So we had this tadabbur all the time, right? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ أَقْفَالُهَا. That's the dyslexic. Did it have locks on their hearts? They cannot ponder over the Qur'an. There's moments where I feel like I'm pondering, but more often than not, I didn't really know how to ponder. And I remember my Shaykh, Jazakallahu Khairan, in Pakistan, when I went and spent some time with him 3 years ago, he was the first person to actually explain what tadabbur meant in a way that I understood it. He said, just ask yourself in every ayah, what does Allah want from you in this ayah? So that was nice. That got me to understand, because tadabbur is, as in, and you'll explain it better than me from a language perspective, but it's to look at what's behind the ayah, what's behind, dubur shay, what's behind the words, what's deep in the meaning, what's Allah Azza wa Jalla trying to say to me. So he was like, just ask yourself every ayah, what does Allah want from me, subhanahu wa ta'ala? What does he want from me, subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I got that. And I'll be honest, I tried here and there. And it's a weakness, obviously, in my nafs, in my iman, the hardness of the heart, that I just felt like I wasn't able to hit it every time. Until recently, I was reading a book on how to train your staff. It's called the Coaching Habit. The thesis of the book here is the best way to teach people is just to ask them questions.
Right.
Don't tell them the answer, they'll never learn. Ask questions, and he gives you 7 questions to basically just get them to solve the problems themselves. Very powerful. In that, I just kind of became a bit obsessed with the concept of asking questions. So I'll just ask myself questions a lot more. And although we're not philosophers and we don't encourage people to go and look at philosophy, but the term here, they call it Socratic questioning. Socrates would ask questions, and that's how he apparently came to conclusions, a lot of which are batil. We already know what happened there. I'm not telling anyone to go read Socrates, but they call the concept Socratic questioning. So I started looking into how to ask questions. Like how to ask questions. At these times, I also started doing the Live by Design program with Brother Fawaz. And I remember he said to me, reflect. And when you reflect, you come to solutions and conclusions that you wouldn't have seen elsewise. So at that time, I'm like, right, if I ask myself good quality questions, I give myself good quality answers. If I ask myself good quality questions, I give myself good quality answers. So then I was like, I want to learn about this question if more. So I'll go to ChatGPT. I'm like, yo, like train me how to ask questions. Give me good questions to ask. I got another book on the art of asking questions. And I started practicing this a lot. And then I thought, you know what? Let me try this with the Qur'an. I just stumbled on it by accident. Let me try this with the Qur'an. And I started asking myself questions when I come to an ayah. And I was like, whoa, this is tadabbur. And then I sat down and I was like, all right, cool. Because I read another book by one sheikh, and he mentioned it's about the Qur'an, and he mentions at the end of the kitab, he goes, the thing that he asks himself every time he reads the Qur'an is, what relation does this ayah have with your relationship with Allah? So he's looking at these ayat of ahkam, ayat of rulings that seem a bit, you know, one might say due to the hardness in his heart or the ignorance of the Qur'an and the language, that is a bit dry. But he's showing you, no, this is the, why is it that in the middle of the ayat of fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I respond to the call of the one who makes dua to me between ayat of fasting, to indicate the closeness of the slave to his Lord at the time of fasting, such that the dua is accepted at that time. Like, and he's just going in. So I was like, so that was his question. He would ask every time he reads the Qur'an. My sheikh's question was, what does Allah want from me? That wasn't necessarily my question. So what I did is, I got a little list of questions that I compiled for myself, and I'll share them here, inshallah ta'ala. But look, this is unique to me, right? And these questions might change, but at the point I am at my life right now, if I want to, when I'm doing tadabbur of the Qur'an, these are the questions I ask. Number one, how would I live my life differently if this was the last ayah I ever read? That will make you look at the ayah differently every single time. Number two, how does this relate to developing leaders that will change this ummah? Because that's what I'm on right now. The content that I make and the network that we have, we want to create leaders amongst the Muslims. So how does this ayah relate to developing leaders? Because the Prophet used this Qur'an to create an imma. So then I look at it from a different angle. How is this connected to what other things I know? So, and by the way, this is not just shari'i things. Sometimes you see, akhi, in the Qur'an is treasures that connect to things that some kafir mention. Because what is the Qur'an, akhi? Is a book of guidance for human beings. So these kuffar are going based off what they're learning now. And sometimes these concepts, Allah has already discussed it in a lot of depth. So I'll start connecting it, and I'll start trying to form a tapestry of understanding between what the Qur'an is talking about and then what we know in life. And then I'm connecting. I'm just trying to ask myself, wait, does this relate to anything I read recently? Is there a hadith that I can back this up just to get the brain moving? How does it relate to a moment in my life? Is there a moment in my life where this ayah relates to? How does it relate to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can this teach me what, and because currently just two things that I'm trying to work on right now is khushu' and sabr. Sorry, shukr. The two actions of the heart that I really just wanted this year to try and really double down on them. So I'll ask myself, what can this ayah teach me something about shukr? Can this ayah teach me something about khushu'? So the point is that it just, like, since that happened, I actually went to my sheikh and said, Sheikh, like, I will now sit on an ayah for half an hour. Something I could never do. I now sit on an ayah for half an hour, and when I have to end because I've got something else to do. And now I'm like, what do I do? And then I remember my sheikh said to me, and of course Imam al-Ghazali, obviously he died in the Sunnah, ultimately he made Tawbah and he left the Ash'ari Creed before he died. Rahmallahu ta'ala. He died with Sahih Bukhari in his chest. But you know, he had a qira'ah of the Qur'an he was doing, which he'd been doing for 30 years. There was one, I think he would do a khatim like every like 7 days or something. But it was one where he would just read. It was 30 years, and I think he was like not even halfway through, or he was quoting one of the ulama before him. but the point is that the Sheikh was like, Imran, what you're now starting to sniff, yeah, because this is the tragedy of life. When you start late or when you don't have enough time in the day, you just want to sit with this book. Then I got a taste of what Ibn Taymiyyah said. When he was in prison and he died after he recited the Qur'an 80 times, and he said, I wish I had just given more time to this. It's Ibn Taymiyyah. Because in my mind I used to think, that doesn't make sense to me. But now I get it. And I already know that, about it, I haven't studied Balagha yet, right? So currently with Allah's permission, Tawfiq, I should be finished at Al-Fiqh Malik in about 2 months. But then we're going to do another shot on it just to kind of get it more grounded. I haven't even gotten to Balagha yet. So in my mind I'm really thinking, what's that? And by the way, I haven't read any one tafsir book end to end. Yeah, I'll look at a tafsir here and there when an ayah interests me, but currently I'm in tafsir muyassar, right? And then after that, tafsir, that I haven't even got to that journey. It's like I'm still a tawalim, I'm still a baby in this game. So we're just getting our aqidah and our fiqh right. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing. I'm just getting my aqidah and fiqh right. So now it's like we're turning to the Qur'an. So the Shaykh's like, listen, what you're gonna now see is different. So even me, like the tragedy for me is I just set aside. Of course, there's some element of tadabbur, or you try to have tadabbur when you read and when you do muraja and whatnot. But it's like Wednesday is my day where I'm trying to be consistent and setting aside 90 minutes just to swim with the ayah and just to document these fawaid and just build a little thing for myself. Sorry, I talked a lot, man, but it's like a new finding, and I just wanted to share it with everybody.
That's amazing, actually. Wallahi, that's amazing. And before coming, obviously recently you come to, how long have you been in Dubai now?
I've been here for 2 years and a couple of months.
Prior to Dubai, where were you?
I was in West London.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time in Pakistan.
Okay.
There was the year before I moved here, I was doing Pakistan, Dubai, UK, Pakistan, Dubai, UK. I was moving around.
So is this the first, Arab speaking country you moved to?
First Arab speaking country I moved to.
So how you find it, generally, spiritually, have you found it moving to Dubai?
Spiritually, I love it, akhi. And the reason why I love it is because there's a masjid in every corner. I choose where I want to live. I choose the community I want to live. I live in a conservative community, alhamdulillah. As you can see, this is my local. There's not really any madness. They had some music playing in the cafe. We turned it off. It's empty. I got a masjid right in front of my house. I chose the house because the masjid is right there. So for me, it's been, as far as we say, we live by design. I chose to live by design. I could go and live next to a club if I want to, and that's obviously, I know what I'm going to expect if I do that. So I chose a community which was family friendly, where there's a masjid. So spiritually for me, it's been phenomenal in that regard. Another element that has benefited me spiritually wise is that there's a lot of toxicity amongst the brothers in the West, and that usually comes from the fact that they are in a toxic environment in the first place.
Okay.
Here the toxicity is a lot less, which you don't realize how much that affects your iman. Now you've been in Mecca, mashallah, for over a decade, right? So you've been far from that, but there's every day there's a backbiting, there's a slander, there's a drama, there's something, and it just affects the iman. That doesn't happen here. Also, I've got a lot more time. Say what you want, but a Muslim country, there's barakah. I feel like I would start the day in London and wallahi the sun would set as I just started getting going. Here, wallahi, you feel barakah, you get more done. All these things that affect the iman in a very, very positive way. Mecca's down the road. The biggest thing is that you can pray 5 daily prayers in the masjid every day, and it's not even hard. As in, it's weird not to. It's not even hard. It's it's not even hard. As for Arabic here, this place hasn't helped me with Arabic at all.
I was gonna ask you about that. I was literally about to ask you about that. Yeah. So, what do you speak more, English or Arabic?
English or Urdu. English or Urdu. There's no Arabic here. As in, I don't. So I'll tell you a mushkila for me, right? Number one, my Arabic speaking is very weak. It's extremely weak, and the reason for that is because I can make a million excuses. Fundamentally, it's my L, but there was I just didn't practice enough.
Right.
And one of the reasons I didn't practice was the shyness. You're gonna make a mistake, you're gonna get judged. With the dyslexia thing, I'll make more mistakes than others as well. So I just never used to practice much. So that was a mushkila. Now, alhamdulillah, I can speak, but it's not as it's not as fluid as my English is. Far from it. But I can only speak Fusha. I can only speak Fusha. And I can only speak Sharia. Like as in,
the terminology.
Yeah. Then Fusha, that's it. So here, obviously, with the dialect they speak, it's a different language to me.
Right.
A brother literally sent me a voice note from one of the mashayikh. He asked, there's an issue, someone was taking something to the court, the mahkama, the Islamic court here. Yeah. And he forwarded me a voice note. Sheikh mentioned something in the faida.
Yeah.
I said to him, I don't understand his language.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll put a fee or a ala. I don't know. It's this new word they start use, and I might even embarrass myself, I might even have Fusha origins, but Ashan.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I just heard him saying it. I don't know. It took me years to learn it. What does that mean, brother? I don't. I just, which, to be honest, I want to learn because it's good. Like, there's a different level of connection with the people when you can speak their lingo, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it was funny. I went to the mall once and I had to get a new case for my phone. It was one of the stores, and the brother he started talking to me in Arabic because people presume I'm Arab. Usually they'll think that I'm Maghrebi or something, right?
That a lot. Yeah.
So he was Moroccan. So he said to me, do you speak Arabic? And I said to him, يعني فصحى فقط. If you want to talk to me, just فصحى, that's it. And it was funny because he tried. And it's so funny seeing them shift.
Yeah.
And I can tell he was struggling. So even they struggle with
Fusha.
speaking to me in Fusha, and I will obviously struggle.
I think some dialects find it easier than others. But yeah, what's so funny is I'm actually the opposite now because I spent 10 years in Mecca. I was only speaking Fusha. But because once you go into the bachelor's program, I'm sitting in the class, majority of the class are Saudis.
Okay.
So some of my classes, I was the only foreigner in the class.
Okay.
And even the teacher is speaking dialect, right? Saudi dialect, or everyone around is speaking Saudi dialect. So I actually got heavily influenced. Now, I'm actually more comfortable speaking Ammiya than Fusha.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I flip. So, because what Ammiya does, it actually waters down the language. So you get lazy with your tongue. There's no i'rab, you're not paying attention to
the
you're merging letters, so it comes out quicker. Yeah, so I actually, now when I speak Fusha, it was actually, I had to speak to a brother. He was a Pakistani brother. I was speaking to him in Fusha. And I told him, I said, I'm actually translating from Ammiya to Fusha right now.
Okay.
So the word that comes to my mind is in the Saudi dialect, and then I'm translating it to Fusha. Yeah, it's so strange. But once you spend a long time in that environment, it's just natural. Right? No one's saying these Fusha words anymore. So it's like, you just get used to saying those words every day. That's it. That's interesting, subhanAllah.
But subhanAllah, you don't lose the understanding when you read books.
Never.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's a practice thing. That's all it is. It's like recently I've just started doing MMA, right? And my coach is telling me, it's crazy. Like, we don't realize things like driving. There's like 20 things you're doing in one go. You don't realize. Like even when you're, for example, fighting, you're thinking about your opponent, the distance that your opponent is to you, your footwork. You're thinking about the steps that you're taking. You're thinking about your guard. You're trying to set him up for a shot. There's so much that's going on. At the beginning, it's like I know it. If you tell me what's the mistake, I'll tell you, I did this, I did that. But practicing it and doing it to the point where you don't have to think about it is a different story. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what it's like with the language. Yeah. Now, if I'm not having conversations with people for an extended period of time, I'm not gonna get it. The reason why I can talk Sharia comfortably in Fusha is because I have, for about 3 years now, I have a 2-hour session class with my sheikh every day, 6 times a week. We just speak Fusha. But what we're talking about is tahara, nikah, we're talking about the books. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. And the mas'ala. And of course, in that, if I bring him a contemporary issue, then we'll go. But it's all Fusha. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's Fusha, and it's all in the context of. But I was struggling to tell you how I'm feeling. Yeah. All that.
But still, mashallah, that's still that's still a high level for someone who hasn't lived in the Arab lands and immersed themselves in the environment. I still think that's...
So this is a very common thing in Pakistan. So a lot of the Pakistani mashayikh, obviously it's changed since like Medina University, and a lot of the Pakistani mashayikh would actually then, just go to get the doctorate from Medina and then come back, the PhD or the masters and whatever have you. So that now they speak Arabic. But traditionally speaking, it was very common that mashayikh in the subcontinent, they were phenomenal at the language, but speaking it, very hard. It's not good. So there's a book here. What's it called? It's called Abwab al-Sarf. I think it's called Abwab al-Sarf. No one is considered a talib ilm in Pakistan if you don't memorize the kitab, end to end. And it's literally every single sarf pattern that you would need. That's a beginner book, right? These guys, they spit nahu. Do you know what I'm saying? Even Raghib al-Asfahani's mufradat, al-Fadh al-Qur'an, like in Ramadan, a guy's doing murajah of the Qur'an, a guy's doing murajah of the kitab, end to end. Like, that's what they like. They'll use language that's, but you can tell when they speak, there's just not that smoothness. It's not there. So when I heard that, and it was actually a teacher I had that was a Pakistani teacher at the time, he said to me, look, you don't get to Jannah by speaking Arabic, you get to Jannah by understanding the Qur'an. Which, as a matter of fact, is a naqs if all you know, because there's 4 elements to a language: receptive skills and
the input and output.
Yeah, input and output, exactly. So output would be writing and speaking. The input is listening and reading. So that's actually easier. And in some ways you might say it's important from like a shar'i perspective, but still it's a deficiency because I can't say I've got the language. I can't say that I've got the language until you have really all 4. But from where I'm at in my life, because I just had to look at, the pros and the cons. Even when it comes to memorizing right now, I remember my sheikh, he said to me, Imran, you're at that stage in life right now, it does not even make sense for you to memorize matun. Because usually as a kid, you memorize matan, you memorize, for example, these texts in fiqh, and then you'd go and memorize the hadith after. Like that's generally speaking how it goes, right? He said, but right now, the age that you're at, but you can't waste time. You need to go straight to the hadith of Sallallahu. So you got to kind of pick, not your poison, because obviously it's not poisonous about this, but you've got to choose your regrets. And I can regret, for example, not having mastery over writing the language and speaking it currently, but I can't regret not understanding. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So you're in Dubai, right? And like we said, we don't actually practice the language, right? And the system that we've had is, okay, to understand, listen. We want to listen and we want to understand the Qur'an when we read it, right? Would you say that speaking the language for someone who's in the UK, should they totally ignore it or should they try and learn it at the same time?
One of the biggest L's, right, of not being able to speak the language, it affects your relationship with the ulama. That's a massive one. It's a massive one. And sarahatan, I'll be honest with you, that's one thing that it was a big lack. It was a big lack. Like when I'm there with the brothers now, for example, and let's just say Sheikh so-and-so is there, they're just able to just ask. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm understanding the conversation, but I've got questions too. And then when I try to...
Yeah, that one's all right.
That's gone.
Battery's gone.
So, and then when I'm trying to articulate the questions, the Sheikh's like, "Mafhim."
Yeah.
Try again.
Yeah.
And it's long. So, alhamdulillah, I'm saying at a point now where I can speak Fusha comfortably to Mashayikh, alhamdulillah. But I missed a lot of years not being able to do that. So I would definitely, I don't want people to walk away from this understanding that I'm saying you don't need to learn how to speak. I'm saying it's a deficiency.
Yeah.
It's a deficiency. Do you get me? My thing was more so just to give hope to those that might struggle education-wise from a dyslexic or ADHD angle, or maybe due to age and whatnot. I'm like, you know what? It's cool.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, bro, just, get the meat if you don't get the rice as well.
Right.
At least you got the meat, you got the protein. You got the protein. But absolutely, wallahi, akhi, the relationship with the ulama. And like when I'm with, for example, my sheikh in Pakistan, our relationship is phenomenal. Like it's so personal. Because I speak to him in Urdu, right? And which is my native language. I talk to him about my wife, about my child, about my parents, about my feelings, you know, everything. My sheikh in Egypt, who I study with now, and the one I mentioned that I have online classes with, I meet him twice. I try to meet him twice here in Mecca as well. We meet for 2 weeks so we could do the thing in person. Again, I will speak to him openly about everything because he's so patient with all my mistakes. With akhi, all of my lahan, akhi, all of my mistakes. He's so patient. He gives me so much confidence. Like he won't, even the way he corrects me, he'll correct me in stages. Like, you know, this is a mistake that you make that's pretty common. Like, stop. But he just gave me that confidence to just, you know, just itlaqul lisan. My tongue is just open with him.
Right.
But I'm saying that, wallahi, if people know, like, just having ulama, man, that you got a close relationship with, that you can just go to, bounce. You know, is Imam Shafi'i, he said, لن تنالوا, he said, يا أخي لن تنالوا علم إلا بستة سأنبيك أن تصير يا ببيان. He said, there are 6 things you will not ever learn knowledge unless you know them. One of them, he said, صحبة الأستاذ. He said, to accompany and befriend a teacher.
Right.
So wallah, when, you know, when mashayikh become your friend, this is not friend, he's your sheikh, but when it's a point where...
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. That's why even in Ijaada Institute, we made sure that we made live sessions just for speaking. So we teach the morphology, we teach grammar, we teach dialogues, but we also have just live sessions where we say grammar, everything aside, we're just speaking.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And subhanAllah, I actually conducted a observation just a little while back for the sisters group and the brothers group. So obviously sisters, they turn off the cameras, everything we announced we're going to come into, because we need to check that the teachers are teaching according to our standard. And wallahi, I was shocked. I started getting goosebumps in my arms. And I said to them, I don't even usually comment on the live sessions. I just make my notes and I talk to the teacher afterwards. I had to come in and I said, I can't even believe the sisters speaking Fusha fluently.
Allahu Akbar.
Some of them, they didn't even know Fusha before they started. And I couldn't believe that the way they're talking to the teacher, understand the teacher, the way they're expressing themselves. I was like, when I built this program, sometimes halfway through, I'll be like, I hope people are going to catch this. Are they going to catch this? I try to make the curriculum as dummy-proof as possible. Really, really water things down. Don't go too deep. Just make it so that your average mother with 5 kids or single mother, she can understand. Not everyone's students of knowledge, right? So I try to get rid of all the jargon and just really dumb it down for everyone. And I went in there and I said, all of you right now, you're way past the level I was at when I was in the UK. I said, if you just go out of speak country for 6 months, you're gone. Like, you're literally gone. And I was so impressed, and the feeling that I felt when I could see that, subhanAllah, like sisters here, like actually in the UK, never left the country, never done anything. They're not students of knowledge. Some of them are students of knowledge, but now they can now open up the mushaf and they can now understand. They can speak to and what you're saying about relationship, that's why they love their female teacher. They have this like close relationship. They can actually speak to her in Fusha and everything. Like it's just, it's amazing, akhi. And that's why, like, what you mentioned before about the curriculums in the West, I saw that deficiency. I saw that, even you mentioned Al-Jurumiyya. Al-Jurumiyya was made for the Arab.
Is it for the Arab to learn?
For the Arab to learn grammar. So when they bring examples that they can say, oh yeah, we do say that.
We do say that.
Okay, that makes sense. But it wasn't made for the non-native. So that's why at Ijaada Institute, we had to make our whole curriculum. We had to actually just take everything upon us and we're going to build our own curriculum to really, cater for these deficiencies. And obviously, alhamdulillah, I have some background in teaching and I got my master's degree as well in English language teaching. So I tried to apply that knowledge as well, alhamdulillah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, you got a master's in teaching?
Yeah, that was my second, that was my plan B if I didn't get into Mecca. My plan B was like, let me do a master's. I'm going to teach English out there and I'll study with the ulama like after Asr.
Allah, my bad, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And that actually came to help me when I was studying because I was able to teach on the side. So I was able to earn a living.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned
Yeah,
you do.
I was able to, I never thought that would come to help me later on. I literally, when I started, I said, my only niyyah was to go to Saudi. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't even looking as a career. That was my ticket to go to Saudi to study with ulama. One brother, he came to me after Jum'ah and he said to me, he said, bro, you might not get into the uni. Why don't you study a master's? I said, bro, I don't have a bachelor's, you're talking about masters.
Yeah, how'd you get?
Yeah. So he said to me, he said, bro, you don't need a bachelor's, don't worry.
Really?
He's like, this brother in Al Medina did it, this other brother did it. I said, why? He said, a lot of people don't know if you're a mature student, you can skip the bachelor's stage. At that age, I
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know as well. I think I was about 23 at the time. He said, just apply and see what happens. So when I applied, they got back to me and they said, just to summarize this article, those days there was no ChatGPT or anything. I was struggling in the beginning because I was a long time out of education. I was highlighting everything in yellow. It was about globalization. I remember it was about globalization and bringing all their terminology. I'm going in the dictionary. What is this? And I wrote a summary. Alhamdulillah, they said, based upon the summary, we will accept you.
Allah Mubarak.
And he said, bro, I know you. He said, if you could study all these masail, fiqhiyya, aqeedah, all this stuff, this is easy. It's just this scholar, linguist said this linguist said that. It's easy. And I started, alhamdulillah, and it was the following year I got accepted. It's like a year and a half later, I got accepted in Qur'an University. And I was literally studying 2 universities at the same time. So I was doing my dissertation from East London, University of East London, and I started Qur'an University at that time. And alhamdulillah, like it really helped me because I never thought I was going to use it to earn money while I study, number one. And I never thought I would use the skills because I was teaching universities, Saudi and colleges and everything. So I never thought that those skills would come and help the ummah later on. Because now I can apply it to the curriculum. I can say, look at this textbook, there's so many errors, this curriculum is not designed properly. I can look at the way, like, okay, we're going to just study, even we study al-Jurumiyya. Al-Jurumiyya is just a nahw, it's just grammar, it's not even sarf.
Right,
Some people say, I studied al-Jurumiyya, you haven't studied sarf, you haven't even practiced your speaking. And I found out this when I started learning Arabic as well, because I was studying in the UK. I did the Medina books. I finished all 3 books.
In the UK?
Yeah, in the UK.
Allah Mubarak.
And I was speaking to a Jordanian brother, and all I wanted to say was I was in the masjid. I got stuck, because when I used to see Arab, I used to get them, yeah, let me try and practice. So I saw this Jordanian brother, and all I wanted to say was I was in the masjid. I said, and I was stuck. I said, how do I say I was in the masjid? He said, kuntu fil masjid. I was like, kunt. Oh, kunt, yeah, kana. I know the word kana. I know that. Like, if I read it, I understand it. But because I hadn't practiced, like what you were saying about practicing, I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get it out. And from that day, I was like, no, I need to practice. That's when I started doing loads of practice. I was practicing online, language exchange, everything. And alhamdulillah, in the UK, I got to a point where I could communicate.
Allah Mubarak.
Yeah.
So look, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
I literally all I did was I just said, every day, practice language exchange online. I got one.
What is language exchange?
Basically, you find someone who's Arabi. You sit down with him, you say, we're going to talk today. You talk half an hour in Arabic.
He talks to you in English.
Yeah, so you're kind of teaching English.
You can still do that now?
Yeah, they probably still they had some apps, but I don't rate those apps. Before, they were like, there was no peak. Now it became like social media. People got, they got their own pictures, brothers and sisters mixing. Before it was more like serious language exchange partners. Sit down and say, look, we're going to talk.
Well,
and then I know it's so good because now you have a comparative.
Actually, no excuses.
Yeah, literally. You have a comparative study now. Because he may get stuck in English on something. You give him the sentence and then you're like, hold on, how do you say that in Arabic? Actually, I don't know. And he'll tell you. So you're constantly going back and forth. Till today, I know I have a brother from Riyadh. Till today, he'll contact me randomly on WhatsApp. Abdurrahman, you say this in English. I know, because he has an American accent. So he says, do you guys say this in the UK? I say, yeah, we say that in the UK. Sometimes I may hear a random word. Maybe random Emirati dialect, or random some other dialect, Lebanese dialect. I say, bro, what does that mean? He say, oh, this means that. I was like, okay, cool. What do you say in Riyadh? He said, oh, we say this. I said, okay, cool. So even till today, I still downloading information from him. So I utilize that. And when I went to Saudi, I remember I met one of the students. He goes, you speak Arabic? I was like, yeah, I can communicate. He says, no, you're speaking. He just started speaking to me fluently in Arabic. So alhamdulillah, like, I built that foundation before I even got to Saudi. So when I went, that's why my goal with our students is get you to a level where you can communicate efficiently, you can understand. So if you ever go to those lands, that's it. You're just sitting now, you're enjoying. Because what I noticed as well, brothers will go into places like Egypt. You go there, they're speaking to you. The only reason why people succeed in some of these programs is sheer determination. Because they know I paid money, I packed my bags, I've left everything behind. I was seeing students, literally, they couldn't even say, Kayfa haluk. And they just had to sit down with the books that weren't even learner friendly, and they just had to do rote memorization, just really push through. And it's overwhelming. Imagine now you sit in a class and he's trying to teach you grammar in Arabic that you don't even understand. So now you've got
Start
two obstacles. That's why I'm a firm believer that if you want someone to teach you Arabic, the best teacher is the one that speaks your native language.
Absolutely.
The best, and fluently as well.
Absolutely.
Or someone that's actually gone through that journey. Once you get to intermediate, okay, let the Arab take over. Because now you got your foundation, you understand the system, everything. They're going to help you with what we call usloob. How do you have usloob Arabi? When you speak, you sound Arabi. You're using their jokes and their sense of humor. You're understanding the style of the language. That's where Arab are gonna beat English teachers 100%. But from beginner to intermediate, you need someone that speaks your language. So I've seen brothers, they'll go Egypt, they'll go here. Within 6 months, they're giving up. It's too overwhelming. You're trying to, I don't even know what you're saying. Is this past tense? Is it present? Future? And you mentioned Arabiya Bayna Yadayk. When I saw that book, I was overwhelmed. There was one topic, it was like a science lesson. It was talking about smoking.
Smoke, yeah. The second book.
It was like
Pollution.
Yeah. It's like this is not vocabulary you use day to day. Let's get our priorities straight. Like, you're talking about pollution and smoke. I was overwhelmed because it's like they just throw you in the deep end.
Yeah.
You don't know what's past tense, present tense. Where's the verb? Where's everything? Just is overwhelming. So that's why we couldn't find a book that we could say this is the book we're gonna teach from. We had to make our own curriculum. But yeah, alhamdulillah, we're nearly finished. I just got one last question for you. Anyone that's watching, someone may be watching this now and they may be thinking, you know what, I think we can learn Arabic or feel inspired. What would your number one advice be for them today? Anyone who's watching this?
Baraka, I'm really happy you asked that question, because what I did is I told 2 parts of my story. I didn't mention the middle. I actually got the hang of the language a lot later than I should have. It was overly stretched out. So as I mentioned, I started doing the Arabiya Bayna Yadayk here, then stopped. Then went to America, had that 1 month intensive program, then stopped. Then started Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk again. This time I finished the book. Then stopped. Then Al-Ajrumiyya, first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, seventh.
No way.
Yeah, seventh time. And it was just never progressing. There would always just be a stop or this or something. You'd be surprised. The first time I done Al-Ajrumiyya, we had an exam when we finished Bab al-Marfu'at. And I got 100%. Me and my wife both got 100% in the class. Me and my wife and my wife's sister, 100% in the class. I just remember I said, "Who's that?" That's not the language. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've just understood a couple of things there. But I was impressed because, alhamdulillah, we were the only ones that got it. But my point is that even that, it's like, I'm not able to put anything together. Until I saw TEDx. There was this guy who was a language expert. And I don't know who the guy was, don't know what the video was, don't know what it's called, but I just remember he said one thing. And when he said there's one thing, I turned the video off straight away because I got what I needed. He said, if you want to learn a language, because you can learn any language in 6 months, if you immerse yourself. He said, what do I mean by immersion? Don't read, don't speak, don't listen to anything other than the language you're trying to learn. And he said there's something about the brain. He said if you start, for example, constantly hearing sentences in a foreign language, let's say German, you don't know what on earth is being spoken about. But there's sentence structure that your brain starts to become familiar with. It starts to understand on some subconscious neurological level. It becomes familiar with patterns in the language. And he goes, through things like tone of voice and this and that, he goes, you'll pick it up and you'll know. I remember when he said that, I said, what do I have to lose? I messaged my good friend Ustad Yassin. He also taught me as well. And I said, give me something to listen to. And he told me to listen to Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Shuwair, who, by the way, speaks very fast. He also was a fiqh teacher, and fiqh was the hardest thing for me to start reading. You know why? Because it's the broadest vocabulary. Because remember, aqeedah all day, every day, you get familiar with the terms. It's not...
It's quite quick to get used to.
Fiqh. every single chapter is in human situations, and then your vocabulary is just expanding. And it was hard. على كل I just started listening to Sheikh Abdul Salam Shuair. And I'm like, well, I actually understood 40% of that. And I started listening to him throughout the whole summer. And I just carried on. Then COVID hit. And I started to, in COVID, actually, no, this is like a couple of years before COVID. A year and a half before COVID. I started listening. That was it. I started reading. I'll get a book. I'll get Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badar's book, Ta'zeem al-Salah. I remember it was the first book in Arabic that I started reading. And I opened up Aratus. No, I was a bit lazy. So I went with Aratus. You know Aratus?
No.
It's a little online dictionary.
Yeah, like translation.
Yeah, it's a little translation. So it tells you the root words and everything and whatnot. It's a bit lazy. Yeah. But I was just like, let me make sense of this. And it will take me an hour to read a paragraph. And I've just about kind of got the meaning. I was just, I remember I was just thugging it. I was just thugging it. At this time I had no teacher, nothing. I was just thugging it. I was just listening, just trying to force myself to understand, trying to force myself to read and understand. Akhi, 6 months later, I started understanding. Akhi, uqsimu billah. Like, obviously, I had the bit of Arabiya Tubayni Yadayk and the Medina books. It all came in handy, but it was just the immersion. And then when COVID hit, because up until that time, any teachers I had would always teach me in English. I actually planned to go to Kuwait to meet. I wanted to just. There was a sheikh I started listening to. I was just listening to him week in, week out. Sheikh Muhammad Hisham Tahiri. And I remember what I would do is I put my daughter to sleep, and she was very difficult to put to sleep. So it would take me an hour to put her to sleep. When I asked her if I would, I said, look, I'll take her at night. And I finished book after book after book after book after book after with the sheikh. I finished. I used to love putting my daughter to sleep. 2.5 years old, I'm putting her to sleep, akhi. And I'm not even trying to train her to sleep. Because I'm like, this is just my time. So I was like, let me go see the sheikh. Then COVID hit, boom. And there was a Somali sheikh, Sheikh Muhammad al-Ishaqi. He's the son of Sheikh Abdul Karim Hassan Hawash. I was introduced to him through some of the brothers that were studying in the university, and he started doing online classes. So this is my first time doing durus in Arabiya now. And we're doing fiqh, and we're doing aqeedah, and we're doing, mustalah al-hadith and adab. And then I just never turned back from that point. So the point I'm trying to get is immersion. Immersion. And it's not even long. 6 months, just don't listen. Like, just farm it. Just Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, easy to listen to. And he speaks slow. And it's clear. And you don't start with aqeedah, because the aqeedah's got the least amount of vocabulary that's going to throw you off. Do you know what I'm saying? So just start listening, force yourself to read, and attend the durus at Ijaada Institute. No, honestly.
It's true.
Attend the durus because you got the feedback loop. Because you can go into the lesson and say,
of course,
Ustad, I didn't understand what's going on. So you'll probably learn faster. So that would be my last advice, is immersion. Give it 6 months, inshallah ta'ala. You're not going to become an alim of the language. You're not going to... No, but you will make so much progress. Abu Bakr, my business partner and good friend, we met with Sheikh Asim Quruti the other day. Went for lunch and
I met him last time when he came.
I saw on Insta, mashallah, and it was just crazy because Abu Bakr now just started doing Arabic. He does only 2 lessons a week with our Sheikh in Egypt. Only 2. And he's only been doing it for like 8 months. Just 2. I remember Sheikh Asim's got a little bit of English. He's got a little bit of Urdu as well. So we would just be talking to the Sheikh in Arabic. He would talk to the Sheikh in English. We would just straight ups chat to the Sheikh in English. The Sheikh would respond back to him. This is the first time he was chatting to the Sheikh in Arabic.
Allahu Akbar. See? Consistency, yeah.
I mean, the Sheikh said to me, he said, Imran, check. Does he understand? Or translate for him. Tarjim lahu. And Abu Bakr's like, la, Sheikh, فهمت. He said, come فهمت. He said, 70%. 70%.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I remember I was like, wow, this brother couldn't understand. Now the Sheikh's talking, he's talking about marriage, he's talking about ahkam, he's talking about da'wah, and in Rwanda, and fuckers following the conversation.
I know that's online, right?
Yes, online actually, just 2 times a week. And I think Ijaada from Muhammad is more intense. There's more to it.
Yeah.
Quran Barik.
So with our program at the moment, we've got pre-recorded lessons. That's where I explain like the basis of the language, foundation, everything. That spans over a course of a year, and the duration of a year, roughly. And then we have like 4 hours of live sessions on the weekend, and we've just introduced now even live sessions in the week as well. So they just got ample amounts of, like, what we try and do is not actually give you too much. So we say, watch 3 lessons a week.
Very nice.
We actually make a schedule, like a plan. 3 lessons a week, because we understand people are busy, some people at work.
Yeah, you get overwhelmed.
But 3 lessons, you can finish the course in 12 months. Then on the weekend, do 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday of live, just conversation. Put the grammar to the side, put morphology to the side, just conversation practice. And alhamdulillah, that system has been working tremendously. Now what we've done for the advanced students, give you some, because now that they're level where they want more.
Allah about it.
Now we give them some live sessions in the week, 2 live sessions in the weekdays as well.
Nice.
Yeah. We just added that for those students.
Very nice.
But actually the system works. Like what you mentioned, I mean, he's just doing live. I mean, we've got homework which gets marked by the teacher. As if the teacher having a conversation with you. So we have a Loom video, teacher marking, okay, Imran, we can see you have an issue with this. Don't forget this rule, don't forget that rule. Mark sent back to you as a video, you can watch it, 5-minute video, whatever, 3-minute video. So you can watch, you can see where you're going wrong, where your weaknesses are, how to overcome them. And then, then we got the community. You can ask, got private Telegram.
The community is so important. You don't realize the community is so, because you could just find a buddy that you can just talk to.
Yeah, we've had sisters in London, they link up. This time, they've made friends from our community.
You'll find someone who's more advanced and you just reach out. If you get stuck, just, they motivate each other. Well, that's very important.
And just what you mentioned before is any question you have, you've got that community now where you can just say, oh, I saw this, what does this mean? Can you clear this up? And that's something that I didn't have when I was learning Arabic, and I've really needed that. Like any time in the day, I read something, I don't understand it. Can you take a picture? What is it? I can't understand this paragraph. Now, you've got a community of just people willing to help you. So, alhamdulillah.
Question, have you looked at ChatGPT to help any of the students with Arabic?
Yeah, we look at AI. So I actually have someone who's into programming and stuff.
Training GPT for you?
Yeah, he's actually working on it at the moment. So we're actually looking at it. Obviously, ChatGPT can't replace a teacher.
You can't replace a teacher,
but just for some basic practice, it could work. We're actually looking into it at the moment. So we're gonna see. We're testing it at the moment, but this is, with Arabic, is a little bit more challenging. But we'll see, man. Maybe we can bring it in.
Well, I was a bit impressed with it, man. Like even for example, like the usloob. In the language, the style of speaking. And even the style of speaking amongst the Salaf. That requires context that you don't necessarily have until that comes from the people. Do you know what I'm saying? So there was a qawl of Sufyan al-Thawri I came across literally 2-3 days ago. And what did he say? Actually, I think I have it here. He said, and I gave the GPT no context, by the way, After he explained that, I was like, wow, why didn't I clock that? It requires the head a little bit. He goes, sorry, was Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, إِذَا أَصْبَحْتُمْ صِيَامًا فَأَصْبِحُوا مُتَدَهِنِينَ. So if you are fasting in the morning, then start your day مُتَدَهِنِينَ. Like with oil, like oiled up. I was like, what? I sat there and I don't like to just go to ChatGPT because it makes you lazy. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're fasting, like oil up, I didn't get it. And I didn't give the ChatGPT no context. Because by the way, it was in the chapter, إخفاء الأعمال, to hide your actions. And then the GPT goes, and I'm speaking, it was one, you can speak to him. So I'm talking to him. He goes, إذا أصبحتم فأصبحوا متداهنين. Just what it means. He goes, he's indicating towards the importance of hiding your actions. Because when you fast, you come across a bit tired and fatigued. But actually, the day you're fasting, you should come across more groomed. You should look sharper so that no one clocks your fasting. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Like he.
That's clear.
But he also makes mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
He also makes mistakes.
Found with ChatGPT when it comes to the Islamic information, makes more mistakes than
He
that general
fabricated the
knowledge.
hadith once.
Yeah, it's made up.
And then I asked him, why'd you do it? He said, he said, oh, I was just trying to, he said something, I was trying to give you vibes. I was trying to.
Yeah, stuff like yeah. That's the only point. But if you're, as long as you're aware, there's some benefit from it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, subhanAllah. All right, next man, Jazakallah khair. I appreciate it and for coming. Anyone that's watching this, I hope that this meeting or our sitting today's inspired you. My advice is, like, first we'll take our brother Imran's advice, which is immerse yourself in the language. Find some way to start, no matter where you are. If you want our help, we have our Arabic Proficiency program, links in the description, click it. If you have some other way where you can master Arabic language, take that way, just start today. Find a way to learn the Arabic language. As the benefit, you will never regret learning Arabic. You'll never regret putting in that effort. You'll never get to a point where you say, oh, I wish I never learned Arabic. It's gonna be the best investment that you can make in this life. But anyway, we'll end there inshallah, and yeah man, we'll be in touch inshallah.
Thank you so much.